Back to Rav Dessler. So we spoke about this a few days ago, probably on Thursday and Sunday, that the key to developing yirah, fear of God, is through taking action. Sitting and not doing anything is not going to increase yirat shamayim in you. Which means that you should focus on maisim and do something about it. That is, when you're looking at your day, you're looking at your week, you're looking at your life, you're looking at the way that you behave, there's things you know you do wrong. Correct? But you don't want to fix it. You're going to say, later on. The idea of growing in Yira is to take care of it right now. And so each and every one of us knows things that we should stop doing and things that we should take on doing. And then we should stop doing what we're not supposed to do and do what we're supposed to do. And not say, well, I'll get to it. If you truly believe that Hashem wants you to perfect your behavior, that you should be better than what you are now, and you know what you're doing wrong, then the question is upon you is, why aren't you changing? Are you lazy? Well, then you have no excuse. There's no excuse. Just because we're lazy, just because it's too hard. It's ridiculous. In my mind, and I've seen it in holy books, part of being a man and not a cupcake is making a decision and living according to that decision. It sounds a little stubborn, but if you're making a decision to live according to the Holy Torah and the words of Hashem, then hold yourself to that. Set a standard of behavior, set a standard of where you're holding, and maintain it. Independent of your level of comfort, independent of what other people will say, and independent of any external or internal factor that might pop up. Why? Because you made a decision. You made a decision to eat kosher, and you eat a certain hashgacha. That's what you eat, nigmar. They bring you something and you don't know what the hechsher is. It's like they gave you a piece of stone. It's inedible. There's no taiva, there's no desire to eat it because it's not my standard. So, you make a point to learn Musar every day, then that's what you do. You take 10 minutes, 15 minutes of your day to sit and think of how can I make my life, how can I live my life better than I am living it today. So if you decide to take on certain midot to work on, which that was the shita in the yeshiva of Novardok, they had a mahalach that every month they would take a particular midah, moral characteristic, and work on it. So Rabbi Yankele Galinsky, who was attending Novardok, tells a story. It's a wonderful story. He said that I think it was the month of Adar or whatever month it was, they decided that the midah of the month that everyone is working on is being brave. Bravery! So he thought, what could he do to improve his midah of being brave? And he came up with an idea. He said he was going to go to the old cemetery, where it's no longer in use, in the middle of the night, and there's a mikveh, a very old mikveh there, and he'll go into that mikveh alone. And so he woke up in the middle of the night, and he trekked outside the town, went to the old cemetery, and it's pitch dark. There's no light, nothing. And he was able to find his way into where the mikveh was. He took his clothes off. And there are steps into the mikveh, and he stepped 1, 2. When he came and he stepped, he felt a skull right under his leg, his feet. He panicked. Right? As he's walking down and he steps on the last step, there's a skull there. And he jumps up, grabbed his clothes. He didn't even get dressed. He was feeling his way out, grabbed his clothes and ran. Got dressed in the foreign. He came to the yeshiva, and he couldn't fall asleep because and he's sitting in the hall in breakfast, and this guy comes, sits down right across from him, and he's like, so he says, "What's wrong with you?" So the guy tells Rabbi academically, he says, "Oh, we were working on bravery this month, right?" He says, "Yeah. So I thought I was going to go use the mikveh at the old cemetery." I said, "Okay." And I went there, and as soon as I dipped inside the water, all of a sudden I felt somebody step on top of my head. And I freaked out. Rabbi Galinsky said he was too embarrassed to tell him that it was him because he thought of the same idea. He was embarrassed to tell him because he thought he had an original thought. And the guy always thought that he went to this mikveh, somebody stepped on his head. So we all have midot we need to work on. Patience is a very important midah. Right? You work on it all the time. You have to listen to Saxon's stories. Some of them are just, Anger. Some of us get angry. Some of us have a midah that we're stingy. Some of us have to work on bitachon with Hashem, trust Hashem. There's lots of midot to work on. This is the time, but whatever you decide. Today is the 13th of Elul. When's Rosh Hashanah? How many more days is Rosh Hashanah if today is the 13th? No? You have to take your socks off. 17 days, Benny. Change now. And that's why Rav Dessler says the change is going to happen when you do it. Don't sit and say, okay, Rabbi, I got it. You have to take on Maisim now. Okay. The person who fears understands that repairing the repair should start immediately. Why? Because you also are repairing what's wrong now. For example, let's say you stole something. The longer you hold on to it, right? The longer you are maintaining the gzela, this. The longer you maintain in your evil ways, sinning ways, you're missing opportunities, precious moments that you could have repaired it. So the idea of the repair of the tikkun is that the tikkun should be immediate. Start working on it now. don't push it down the street. Kick the can down the street. It's like, okay, we'll work on it. Well, and I mentioned this before. There are guys who, when they are ready to start shidduchim, they take on certain positions. They say, yeah, I need to work on this, need to work on that. So once I get married, I will fix it. You're not going to fix it now. Why do you think you're going to fix it later? If you have the strength to fix it then, you have the strength to fix it now. If you don't have the strength to fix it now, you probably won't have the strength to fix it then. And then you'll blame her for it. That she's not helping you enough. She's not your mother. She's not supposed to. She's your wife. So. How do you know if you are then on the right track? That it's called in Hebrew mitchazek, that you're strengthening yourself in mitzvot, in maasim tovim, in limud Torah, in praying, and all these wonderful things that we do. How do we know that that we are really truly mitchazek? Are you going to answer a rhetorical question? I thought that was reserved for one person, but now apparently he's not here, so you're stepping up. Yes, because he wrote the answer, but I guess you don't need that. Rav Dessler asked this question and has the answer, but you want to answer before Rav Dessler. So go ahead. People don't see the sarcasm in my voice. And like, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think.
Yeah.
Wait, am I not supposed to answer?
No.
I think you'll know you're on the right track.
I will.
Whoever's reading. Yeah. Anyone. I think they'll know they're on the right track when that Hashem gives them more opportunities to do Masim Tovim. Mida keneged mida.
Nope. So it says here. The nisayon, the opportunities for mitzvot and maasim tovim are always present. Why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to reward us. That's the whole point of this world. The whole shir yesterday was about this. You weren't here. You should watch the shir.
I think I was here.
Yeah?
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, good. Well, just checking. Just take it easy. Is somebody there? Who? Ooh, where have you been? I thought you entered the witness protection program. Everything okay?
I've been sick as a dog, Rabbi.
Oh, Refuah Shlema.
Thank you.
Don't sit where I can't see you. But why do people blame dogs for being sick as a... I've had dogs, and when they get sick, they're not like...
You can't take medicine.
Yeah, they can. Come sit over here by Blake. Was it because of the mold?
I think it was a bunch of stuff. Probably like a small factor.
Or at least your Jewish star got bigger.
Baruch Hashem.
Pick Kabbalah, you probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, I learned that. No. So here's the answer. How do you know if a person is mischazek and it's coming from your pnimius, from the inside, or it's just a show? So he says, pay attention to how much of your actions are done when you're by yourself. That's a sign of your emunah, your yirat shamayim. Are you acting as a tzaddik when you're by yourself, or only when there are people looking? And there are people who, the rabbi walks in, everybody grabs the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanon. There's no Tanu Rabbanon on the page. What are you talking about? Tanu Rabbanon. Ask yourself, if you're taking on mitzvot and maasim tovim and so on, is done privately, then that private devotion is going to guard you. And it's going to be a blessing and will increase your ascent towards your ultimate goal. But it has to be private between you and Hashem. Now I know that usually when beginners, Baalei Tshuva, want to, they get excited, they want others to join them, and there's something to that. There's nothing wrong with that, per se. But Rav Dessler is saying, how do you know that it's going to stick? It's because you're not doing it for show. You're not doing it for others. You're doing it even when nobody knows. It's one thing when people, there's a minyan and people are davening and they're... But there's another when you're sitting by yourself and it's like, did you want to step out?
I want to get my sweater from the...
Go ahead. Go ahead, please, Avram. I don't want you to suffer. Some people think it's cold in here. Sada. Yes.
Isn't suffering a good way of doing tshuva?
Suffering? How did you get to that? From what I said.
What?
She said you didn't want him to suffer.
That's not Yisurim. That's not. It's just being mean to him to say, sit down!
Oh.
Are you supposed to put Legos, spread them all over the floor of your room and then walk on them? No.
Not necessarily.
No, that's not. That's tshuva because I'm suffering, I'm causing myself pain. That's not what it is.
But if he puts you in the mindset and then you're in the mindset.
But I don't know. We're not these monks that used to self-flagellate themselves and do all sorts of things. That's not the way that we serve Hashem. It's mamish not the way we serve Hashem. The fact that we have to tell the goof, we have to tell the body, Shmuel, you can't sit there. The fact that you have to tell the goof, hey, this neshama is in charge, you can't sit there either. You can't sit there, that's Avram is sitting there. Sit over here. Over here, over here. Sorry, Daniel. Now, if you pop your head in front of the camera, smile, that will set your shidduch profile. Blake is like, I want in. Are you into girls? Baruch Hashem. Otherwise, you never know. Good. Baruch Hashem. Right?
He's not even in Messina.
He's in center. What do you want from him?
So then there should be a given he's into girls.
That's a non sequitur. That's a non sequitur, and I'm not giving my non sequitur story on video.
We're on video shot.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Avram, I defended the right to your seat almost with Mesirut Nefesh. Almost. You can ask your fellow classmates and they will tell you. That was his seat, you see? Shmuel, I didn't want him to. He went to get a jacket because he was cold. So, great Jewish leaders, great rabbis, were always afraid that their maisim, the way they serve Hashem, is going to become public. And when it becomes public, it's going to affect their avodas Hashem, their service to Hashem. There's an aspect of our personal relationship with Hashem that needs to be personal. You don't have to involve everybody with every mitzvah that you do. You don't have to involve everybody with the maisim tovim that you do. And the fact that you do them and you keep them private and you're sincere about it, that is going to guard you from falling. It's going to be a tremendous source of a blessing and allow you to continue your growth towards perfection. The Reshit Chochmah is a very interesting, large sefer. A lot based on Kabbalah, but it's Musar. Reshit Chochmah is a sefer, one second, that if you want to read descriptions of Gehenna, it's there, detailed. Very detailed. Yeah, I'll take your question before I get to the...
What you just said, that it's better to do things in private than showing for it. Does that mean it'd be better to do like mincha in private because you're really doing it for yourself?
No, the mitzvah is to pray in a minyan. That's a requirement. That's a requirement. But that is a required prayer. Nothing stops you from sitting, just you and Hashem sitting and you speak to Hashem in your own words outside of a minyan. Right? Some people think you have to climb a mountain. No. You can just sit in your room and say, Hashem, thank you for the day. I had a wonderful day. I learned a lot. I felt connected to you, or whatever. It's just the opposite. Yes, sir.
It's not really a question.
It's not really a question. So can you say it in form of a question so I don't feel useless?
I know you'll probably laugh at me if I want to say it.
Okay, so why don't I just laugh now and we assume that, yeah.
It's extremely hard to do that for yourself, to keep it
Do
private.
what?
To be doing so much internal work and mitzvahs and trying to perfect yourself. Because sometimes, I don't know, for me at least, my Yetzer Hara, now I'm doing it as the Yetzer Hara, will be like, you did well here, now say it because people need to hear it. Like it's chizuk. But, you're saying a lot of the time it's not that. You need to keep it to yourself.
We're going to get into this in just a second.
Are we not allowed to read the book you just mentioned?
Reishis Chochmah?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The one that describes all this.
No, I don't think. It's not a question of you're not allowed. Does it exist in English? Is there an English translation? I'm sure there is. I haven't seen the translation of it, but I'm glad that that's what you're searching. Like, Reshit Chochmah, I want to read about Gehenna. Is that where you're going? You want a nice...
Yeah. Do you have any explanation? Do you have any translate any whatever about it?
Whatever about it.
Yeah.
I have lots of whatevers about it. I don't understand what whatever. What my opinion is?
No, about what he says with Gehenna. Like what?
It's based on sources. What?
It's warmer over there.
No, what he says is all based...
I heard it was colder. I heard it was colder.
There's both. There's two parts to it. But whatever you find in that book is based on reliable sources of Chazal, of Midrashim, and Yerushalmi and Bavli and so on. It's a reliable book. But if a person gets to Olam Haba and they give you two choices, either go to Gehenna or come back here for another Gilgul, take Gehenna. Trust me. As bad as it's going to be, you're done maximum in 12 months. Imagine you had to live another 120 years down here, and imagine how many times you could screw up.
Then we can do more mitzvot.
Over there, you can't screw up. Yeah, but you're assuming that you're going to come back and you're going to do the mitzvot now. But if this was your 747th time back, well, you're going to get this one right now.
Your assumption is that we're getting Olam Haba.
You're in Ohr Somayach. We're gonna hope for it to get it. Did you want to say something, Yuda?
I said, why is it better to
Because Gehenna is a place of tikkun, and the tikkun is although it's extreme, but it works. And then you get out and you're in Gan Eden.
Fast track.
Can't you just come here and do tshuva?
Yes, but you know, how many times, is there a guarantee that you come down here, you're going to do tshuva?
Yeah, but if it's a chance,
I asked you a question. Oh yeah, a chance. How much of a chance?
it doesn't matter. The fact that it's a chance.
But over there, for sure, you're going to do tshuva.
Yeah, but you can't like become a tzaddik there. It's like the bad.
Trust me, as soon as you walk in, you'll be the biggest tzaddik in the world. Watch out, I'm sorry. Get in there. Has v'shalom. God forbid. God forbid. Blake is going back to sad. Like, I can't do this. This is yeah.
So if you can't find a minion or there's no minion to pray with, is it better to?
What does that mean? There's no minion to pray with.
Like if
You're in Yerushalayim, you're a Kodesh.
No, but if you're in Omaha, Nebraska.
There's a minion. Just set your life to daven in a minion.
What?
But in Omaha, Nebraska, there are minions. I was able to find minions every day. Now, sometimes they don't have for mincha. That's true. If there isn't, there isn't. So you daven by yourself.
And you should say the same words that you would say in a minion.
Yeah, of course.
But you said the mitzvahs do it in a minion.
Yes, but if you don't have a minion, you don't have a minion. What are you going to do?
It's not better to just say
Nada.
your own
No.
words. No, not
No,
nothing. Obviously.
no. You have a mitzvah of,
Praying 3 times a day.
yeah. And those are prescribed. Chazal say this is what you need to say. You have to do Shmona Esrei, you have to do this, you have to do that. That's what we do.
And it still counts a little bit to Hashem.
It counts, period. What do you mean? You did a mitzvah.
Even not in a minion.
Okay. But in Yerushalayim here, you know, there's,
Don't get ideas.
I know that.
there are. Go to across the street. There are Minyanim, Dushinsky, you can go. Okay.
Can I ask you something? Is it better for...
Can you ask me something? Yeah, why not?
Is it better to daven in the Sikin over there or daven with the minion here at 7:30?
Vasikin for sure. Vasikin for sure. However, I don't recommend Bacharim to daven Vasikin because it affects your learning. If you're learning first Seder, 9:30 to 1, and then 3 to 7, and then night Seder, you're going to be too tired. And, you know, by the time you go to bed, to be up by, 5:30, quarter to 7. No? Sikin means davening sunrise. Sunrise, the earliest.
Nates? Is that Nates?
The earliest, Nates. Nates is the earliest, yeah.
This is a Q&A.
No, it's not 5 a.m.
Can I ask you a question now as well?
No, you already just.
Okay, we'll stop with a video.